to our mental health segment for this week. In today's segment, we'll be looking at mental health challenges, what they are and how they look like, and we'll touch a little bit on mental illness as well. Since March of 2020 up to now, the world as we know it has been very different. Families have been forced to spend time apart. Some people don't have family in this country, and so they have not been able to go back to their country to visit with family and friends. Even here within Canada, we've had to stay away from our friends. We've had to wear masks to go out in public. We are to not come close to each other. We're supposed to keep the appropriate distance. Parents have had to school their children from home. Parents have had to work from home. This is very different. Our new normal, as we casually term it, sometimes does not allow us to talk to our neighbors or to be able to go for a walk to the park. All this instability has caused a lot of challenges emotionally. It's a common theme around the world where everybody's mental health has been challenged this past year. Those are some of the examples there of our mental health struggles or challenges. Mental illness, on the other hand, is more long-lasting and has been diagnosed by a professional, and sometimes will require the individual to take medication for it. Some examples of mental health struggles are, like I had mentioned, anxiety, stress, mood swings, fears, low self-esteem, sadness, irritability, and obsessions. There are coping strategies to all this. A lot of mental health challenges can be managed without having to be on medication. Ways to prevent mental health challenges is to recognize symptoms early on and seek help. You can build connections with your church family, your friends, or your own family. You can also talk to them about some of the struggles you're going through. You have also to accept that change is part of living. Sometimes we set goals that are too big, that emotionally we're not able to achieve them. So during this time when you're having struggles, sometimes it's not a bad idea to revisit some of these goals and break them down into smaller steps, or put it on hold for a later time. You can also reach out to others. Volunteer in the community. I know right now it's very difficult to volunteer in person. That's why we have channels or mediums like Zoom that you can do to reach out to others. You can also look at your diet. Maybe you're not eating very healthy, so a change in your diet could improve some of those symptoms. Sleeping well is another coping strategy. Prayer, reading the Bible is an amazing strategy as well. Exercising. And when we talk about exercising, we're not talking about hours and hours on end. Maybe just a 10-minute walk outside, get some fresh air and back. You can also do some simple meditation. Meditation could be for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, however long you want it to be. Also, during this time, it's best to avoid consuming alcohol and drugs, as this just heightens the symptoms and makes it harder to cope. As a Christian, we tend to look at mental health as a no-no, it's a bad thing. There's been many myths in the church about people with mental health challenges or illness, whichever. So we tend to not want to seek help when we need it. Even though we recognize the symptoms, we'd rather just keep quiet about it. So I'll share with you guys some of the myths that are in the church on mental health. One of them, is, if a Christian has the peace of God in which passeth all understanding, in his or her life, they cannot have any emotional conflict. That's in Philippians 4, verse 7. That's not true. You can have the peace of God and still have emotions. Emotions are part of being human. Another myth is having mental health challenges is not a sign of having enough faith. Therefore, I need forgiveness from God. That's also not true. Another myth talks about it's a curse from God, or he sent the devil to curse me because of those challenges. No, this is not true at all. And if I surrender my life to God, maybe the first time I didn't do it well enough, but if I surrender my life to God, then I'll get healing or deliverance, and then I'll stop having these challenges. Another one is, if I seek professional help from the church pastor, therapist, psychologist, or even take medication, then everybody else in the church will judge me. They will think that I don't have enough faith, and that's why I'm having these issues. Or if I have enough faith and trust in God, then I'll handle this. Because the Bible does say, God never gives me more than I can handle. I'll just wait on God to deliver me. And this happens quite often, and people go on suffering without help because they are ashamed to talk about it. Throughout all this, guys, if you notice at the beginning, I did not introduce myself. I didn't give you guys my name. I'll share my name. My name is Sheila, and I'm a Christian. I've been diagnosed with mental illness. I suffer from depression and PTSD, which was a result of a traumatic car accident that I suffered. I suffered back, neck injuries, second-grade concussion, and a year and a half later, I see 5 therapists, one of them being a psychologist. Having mental health challenges does not mean that I'm hopeless or faithless. As a matter of fact, I have come to learn that my struggle is definitely evidence for my need for God, who graciously gives me support and gives purpose to my pain. There is a message here for others from my mess. Dealing with depression is scary, but the verse reminds me that God is on my side. There is nothing to fear. Isaiah 41, verse 10. God created us to feel. It's part of being human to have emotions, to connect, and to experience pure joy. He offers us relief, hope, grace, and healing. He hears and sees the broken pieces of our world. If we read Psalms 34, verse 17 to 22, 2 Corinthians 12, verse 9 to 10, and Philippians 3, in this we are reminded that God walks with us. There is no shame. There should be no shame in admitting that you have mental health challenges and you need help. Reach out to each other. We are all going through everything together. Remember, guys, mental health challenges affect everyone, including babies. We're not immune from it just because we're Christians. Thank you for listening.